For many of us, life is a journey, a collection of time and experiences and movements. We know that we are in motion, like being in a vehicle with scenery moving past us or us moving past it. Sometimes life seems to drop us off in the middle of a moment, with the motion still happening all around us. Today, I invite you to ask yourselves, where are those moments in your life, amidst unfamiliarity or uncertainty, that you experience a curiosity to follow something outside your window? Where are those times where you are called to walk out into the night without a flashlight, by the glow of something greater than yourself? There are times when we know that we are in significant moments of our spiritual journeys. These are the moments where we can pause and be still, take a breath, and practice presence. My father and I were both Peace Corps volunteers, albeit 30 years apart. Peace Corps is an organization where volunteers of all ages go abroad to live and work, exchange cultural understanding, and build community. When we were growing up, my father told my brother and I stories of his time in Kenya. He would teach us the errant word in Swahili for things like hello, which is jambo, or thank you, which is asante. My dad had a little orange cat there named Paka, which is the word for cat. There were those nights during our childhood around the family kitchen dinner table where he would make ugali a mañana, which is a type of cornmeal mush that could be shaped into a spoon and used to eat supu, or soup. He arrived in Kenya in the early 1980s. This was a different time in Peace Corps. Today, you are likely to have a cell phone and some kind of internet, even if it is slow and sometimes unreliable. Today, we bring our laptops. My father's Peace Corps was a time when international calling was rare and cost a lot of money. There was no internet. He brought 2 suitcases, one entirely full of books, and it was a time where they would take you to the place where you were to serve your 2 years of service, drop you off, and drive away. My father worked as a headmaster and educator, teaching at a secondary school in the village of Namamboto, serving students of the Luya tribe. He used to tell me the story of when he experienced the intensity of being in the moment in Africa. He was walking through a marketplace with the newness of the bazaar swirling around him in a commotion of brightly patterned blankets placed upon the ground with tapestries of woven colors. Vendors sold trinkets and spices and mushrooms as big as your head. It was here that my father experienced a moment of stillness and presence, and for the first time, really understood the enormity of where he was. It became real. He was able to pause, to arrive, to just be. He wasn't striving or searching. He could just be there with the moment and himself. Many years later, after graduating from college, I too joined the Peace Corps. I was sent to Mongolia, a country of about 3 million people nestled in the steppes of Central Asia. When I tell people where Mongolia is, I always say, north of China, south of Russia, east of Kazakhstan. For many people, Mongolia is a mysterious place that they don't know much about. I didn't either. Mongolia is known as the land of the blue sky because the sky seems to stretch for an eternity across the landscape. Oftentimes, I wondered if there was more sky than land. I was sent to the Gobi Desert, where I would live and work as an English teacher. Like my father, I recall being in the back of a car as endless stretches of desert expanded beyond the window, dust swirling behind us. This was a part of the country where the roads are not paved. And like my father's experience, the car eventually stopped, seemingly in the middle of nowhere, dropped me off, and drove away. It wasn't until many months later that I understood the depth of being in the moment. It was evening in the autumn. I was in the middle of making a dumpling soup when a glimpse of something moving outside my window caught my attention, and I followed it outside. Moonlight poured over the expansiveness of the landscape. It was a full moon, and it hung still in the air, bright enough that I could walk unhindered without a flashlight. Looking up into the endless tapestry of starlight, the sky was dotted with glimpses of red, moving, sailing, almost dancing. Lanterns. A crowd had gathered near the village center, and I walked toward them, watching from a distance. My gaze followed as lanterns rose and floated gently, slowly, boundlessly away. At one point, a man's lantern wouldn't rise and instead hovered close to the ground, skimming along in the wind. He chased after it, gleefully shouting, "Bayerste, Bayerste, goodbye, goodbye," until it finally lifted up into the star-strewn skies above. I found myself in a foreign land, under a cloak of darkness, the kind of night where the air is cold enough that it seems heavier somehow, hugging the ground as though covering it with a blanket. I looked on from the shadows, mesmerized by the actions of 3 Mongolians nearby. One steadied a lantern, another lit the tiny flame underneath, careful not to catch the rice paper on fire, and still another bore witness, waiting for the air to get hot enough to lift it, holding a hesitant and liminal and reverent space until the lantern, as though taking its first breath, came to life. They kept laughing with their lantern in the moonlight, and all at once, the 3 let go in unison, and the lantern floated gracefully up in a fading scarlet light, up toward the sky and the moon and so many stars. This, for me, was a moment in which I experienced something beyond myself. There is wisdom in these moments, the moments that catch us so unexpectedly. To me, this is the work of the Spirit. These are moments of stillness, of pause, of awe. This is the magic of a starlit night, the endlessness of the universe and our place within it, the ceaselessness of the Spirit, a connectedness to time and place beyond oneself. The spiritual journey is one that we may have been consciously seeking, and that there is a moment that catalyzes when we know that it becomes real for us. Or, for some of us, it may not be something we knew we were looking for, and in the rush of a foreign marketplace or the quiet of a desert night, it can find us anyway. Wherever you are on your journey, you are welcome here. Know that as you travel, sometimes wandering, sometimes meandering, that the Spirit journeys with you. Know that in those times where you find stillness and pause, and in those times where you know precisely where you are, the Spirit finds you too. Know that there is something precious to be held there. Know that there is wisdom in arriving in the moment, like a weightless light, hovering, rising, and floating away, the wonder of lanterns in an expanse of sky.